take the white pieces, take the initiative. Hikaru, meanwhile, at least some pressure off. He's got the black pieces. He can react rather than try to create.
And reset is not just a word when it comes to EWC. It's a valuable skill to have. There is no turnaround time for the players right now as we are about to lift off game 2. Hikaru puts his headphones back on and the move of choice, Alexey Sarana sticks to his pet Queen Spawn opening.
Yeah, he's been a D4 player since birth, pretty much, Alexey Sarana. He showed that he plays the knight off to perfection. An expert there. With white, an expert in D4. Is the queen's gambit declined? The exchange variation here as white brings out a bishop to pin the black knight. Still, this has been seen so many times before. Historic opening. As early as the 19th century, this was popular. And how will the players put a modern twist on it?
And just as you say that, Sarana goes into his first think, and I think it's about deciding the structure. Where do you want your knight? Do you want it in front of your king, in front of your f-pawn? And very often we'll see white go shock castle and long-term try to expand in the center.
Exactly. There's still so much room for maneuver here, so much flexibility of plans. You can play on the left flank, you can play in the center, you can just trade off some pieces, head the game towards more strategic waters. The white queen and bishop, light squared bishop, lined up together. Very solid, though, this reputation for black of this opening. I think Hikaru, just based on that alone, means that he wants to neutralize Sarana, maybe take this to an Armageddon.
I'm up for this one to go down to the wire after what we just saw in game 1 between these two speed chess online specialists right there. Now this last move takes away some key squares from Hikaru's bishop to come out to. You know, you look at the pawn formation here. Black's got 4 pawns on the left flank. White's got a majority on the right side. And that's what often dictates play for the players here. I'm expecting Hikaru. He's getting ready to expand on the queen side. For Sarana, push the f-pawn, push the e-pawn. The rook's perfectly lined up.
Yeah, white's rooks have given away the game plan. They're pretty much staring at their own pawns. So the only way to open them up, push those pawns forward. Sarana just weighing up the best kind of path to do that. And in the meantime, I'm noticing Hikaru's clock, Tanya. Much quicker play from Hikaru here than in the first game of the match.
And that comes to count so much when both players are under 3 minutes. To have that extra minute on the clock, put pressure from the very start. You know, it's all about finding your rhythm. And for Alexey, I think that was his opportunity in game 1 to unsettle Hikaru, and he almost made it work.
Yeah, so close, but ultimately it's all about taking those chances, putting the ball in the back of the net, getting the wins. Someone needs to win in this match. It's such a quick match, best of 2, and this could be the decisive one. Minority attack is what Sarana's going for, pushing his pawns on that left flank. We talk about the structure, it's called the Carlsbad structure, and this is a typical plan. Hikaru trying to erode things on that left flank. The black rook now on an open file, and at least according to the evaluation bar, the advantage has switched to black's hands. Maybe Sarana, that indecision, moving his rook one way, back towards another, just costing a bit too much time.
And for Sarana, the plan has to be, you give him one move, he's going to push that b-pawn up the board, trying to create some weaknesses on that left flank. I think Hikaru uses this moment to stop that idea forever, perhaps pushing his own pawn 2 steps ahead, making sure that the queen side, the left flank, remains blocked. Ooh, he's going the other way.
Whoa, Hikaru Nakamura playing it like his younger days when he was an attacking firebrand. He has his eyes set on the white king. The black knights are gravitating towards that side. The black queen looking ominous. Suddenly, Sarana having to defend. That's very rare in this type of opening for black to whip up such an initiative this early in the game. Hikaru smells blood.
It's 2 moves away, the blood that you're talking about. The Black Knight jumping 1 step ahead, and then all kinds of sacrifices next to the White King is what's been set up. And the thing is, subjectively here, even if the computer defends this position, for a human with a heartbeat, this starts feeling incredibly scary. The knight's about to come to the square you're highlighting. Bishop takes pawn next, and Sarana, he just completely ignores it. He's going for his plan on the left flank.
Yeah, and if we do a quick count here, black has 1 attacking piece, the 2 knights with the queen, the bishop as well. That's 4 attacking pieces against the lone white king. This would spell the end simply for Sarana. So he needs to do something quick to dispel this attack before it really begins. Hikaru's 1 move away from creating some devastating threats.
Huge pressure on Alexey right now. I think going for his idea on the queen side will be absolutely disastrous. You know, you look at Alexey, he's He's leaned back right now. He's trying to think how to counter it. He needs to get more pieces towards his king. Get them closer. Get a knight towards your king. Try to get the queen over. But does he have enough time to figure that out, David? Under 7 minutes.
Just to show, the white knight should really retreat to defend its king back to its starting square, back to the G1 square. Very difficult. Knight retreat moves, the hardest to spot in chess. That's the best for Sarana. Will he find it?
Ooh, and it comes with another idea. Not only are you defending that H3 tender spot, but you want to push Black's queen away. You want to say, Hikaru's queen, please go back. Knight F3 to come up next. But will he be able to spot it? Not an easy find right now. And if he doesn't, Alexey Sarana will be in huge trouble. And I'll tell you one thing about Hikaru. He will finish that off, but guess what? Alexey defending this perfectly.
We often say long think, wrong think. That was quite a hefty think for Sarana. Cost him almost 2 minutes on his clock, but he found the best move. A good time investment, therefore, and the Black Queen retreating before it got hit. And Hikaru, at least he won't be landing a checkmate yet, having to switch to a new plan.
Alexey Sarana in this game, activating Fnatic mode there. Fast is what he needs to be. Precise is what he is with that last move, forcing Hikaru to retreat, well, voluntarily right now. And maybe this is the moment you shift your focus back to your plan now that your king isn't getting checkmated. I'm looking at the left flank.
Exactly. Suddenly attention switches over and a question mark appears. The first mistake of this game, at least. And that might be because, there we go, Black bypasses the pawn that just marched forward, breaking open White's center. White's knight that we talked about, a great defensive piece, suddenly not participating in the battle, really. And there are tactics, tricks on the board.
And we have to show that because it looks like you might have just blundered a pawn. But Hikaru doesn't blunder anything. There were checks that would have picked up the knight had White gone for that central pawn. Instead, we see a trade on the board, David, which has pinned that White knight for now.
Exactly. Knight takes pawn was a poisoned pawn. Double attacks. They are the most common tactic in chess. This would have been a check and the knight would simply have fallen off next move. Maybe you could have postponed that a little longer, but disaster for White. And if we show what has happened, this has forced Sarana to allow this pin. Another mistake here. The knight coming forward and Black can double down, create a pin, bring a rook across. This is huge pressure now. Hikaru Nakamura in the driver's seat.
You pin it, you win it. Once you start defending that knight, you could move the queen. And of course, Hikaru is precise as ever. He finds that move. Now you simply slide the queen over, make sure that it's your rook that's X-raying down that c-file right now. A very comfortable position for Black to play this out. Beautiful knight, beautiful queen. Look at the two rooks on the open line for Hikaru Nakamura. David, Alexey needs a miracle to survive this one.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Hikaru, but it's not a long-term advantage. It's very much short-term about the current activity. If you give White a few more moves, if the White Queen can jump out the way of that horrible tension on the c-file, then suddenly Sarana's back in it. So Hikaru does still need to maintain the momentum, the energy.
You say double down, I say triple down on that pin. There's another rook on that A-line. He could swoop that all the way up to the third file and start asking some big questions to the White Knight. What Alexey is relying on is to bring up his own rook to try to defend that knight in case rook to A3 was to happen.
It should happen. It probably will happen. Hikaru just double-checking his calculations. It's time to infiltrate. Time to enter the White ranks. There we go. The move you suggested, Tanya, on the board. So many loose pieces for White. Exclamation mark, showing it is the best move there. And suddenly, I think that move, the White rook coming up, blocking, has to be played.
Only move. Only move in the position to not lose material here. If you're Sarana, you need to play that and you need to play it now. Don't burn the clock. There's nothing else that you can do. Think later. Although Sarana looks very uncomfortable with what's just happened.
He found the best moves and Hikaru continuing. There we go. Talking of energy, boom, he blows open the center. That was an isolated pawn. He's trading off his weakness. Now suddenly the Black Knights are going to be able to pour forward, jump into some fantastic squares. Hikaru also smells that the White King is vulnerable to checks on the diagonal. Everything is working out in Black's favor right now. Still nothing tangible. He needs to turn this into a material advantage. That's his plan over the next few moves.
He's already turned it into a clock advantage, and big questions lie ahead for Sarana still to answer. You know, with most pieces for White on the left flank offside from defending that king, Hikaru Nakamura is about to turn his attention to the right side of the board.
Yeah, full board awareness is a key skill for any chess player. Hikaru has that in abundance, and yeah, it's definitely about that White King. For now, though, Sarana weighing up whether to trade off the black pawn in the center. That looks the most natural, maybe the most advisable. He could also remove the white knight, step it back, and the white rook would be able to attack the black queen. A lot of choice, but Hikaru doesn't have Sarana here, sorry, doesn't have a lot of time.
It's tough one with so many tactics. You know, you look at Hikaru, he's kind of smelling what's going on in this position in all directions. His eyes are darting right, left, looking for those tactics. Not easy to handle for Alexey Sarana, and the more he loses that time, those precious seconds on the clock, the more difficult this is going to get over the next 5 moves.
Yeah, we see at the bottom of our screens there a graph of the game momentum is heading in black's favor. We see it dip and head to a black advantage. Everything being traded off there in the center. The black queen now can deliver a check. The black queen can actually grab a pawn as well. White's pawn on f2, undefended. Can Hikaru Nakamura get greedy, take that material advantage we said he was angling for? It looks like White has zero compensation there.
The only reason Hikaru's taken a pause is because potentially that allows White to centralize his own queen into the game at the right moment, giving Sarana some counterplay to hope for. That is why Hikaru hasn't rushed with that decision. It's probably the one he needs to make. It's control over the center versus getting greedy with that pawn. Which one will Hikaru go for?
Oh, look at his eyes darting around the board, trying to calculate. He's looking into the future. Bit of a shake of the head. He's not 100% sure yet, but he has a lot of time. There we go. Staring up now. I think he's going to grab the pawn. Hikaru loves to take pawns these days, and if he can hang on, that is a decent advantage to take into the endgame.
Lots of calculation needed right now. Queen takes pawn, the most attractive option. But what Hikaru is looking at is what happens after the rook is captured on c8. The white queen lands on that central d5 square with ideas of his own, David. d8, a big check to handle. And will this give Sarana hope to survive?
This is definitely what's about to happen. Hikaru looking into the future. Maybe here he's realizing that he can, for example, bring his knight forward with some ideas. He can retreat his queen. He can step his queen back in different directions. Lots of choices, but great foresight there, Tanya. This has all happened on the board, and suddenly it's black having to deal with a threat, but at least he's got something to cling on to. A pawn up, Hikaru Nakamura.
And if he's able to navigate his way through this labyrinth of complications or these labyrinth of threats that we have, actually one big one that I see, Hikaru is a clear pawn up with a very healthy pawn formation as well. So it's just about not falling for tricks and traps for Hikaru Nakamura now. One big check to handle.
Exactly, one big check, and the best way to avoid tricks, traps, is normally to get the queens off the board. If the queens ever do get traded, black is simply going to win the endgame. It's a mathematical equation, extra pawn, but Hikaru knows that white's queen is a hard one to track down and trade off.
David, you're up material. We're taught that you need to trade pieces. And I love that idea of yours. Bring that knight towards the white king. Knight to f4. If it's captured, you take it back with a check. That feels like a very human way to handle problems for Hikaru right now.
Yeah, that looks like the most logical right now. Just simplify things. Hikaru maybe trying to see if he can keep that knight on the board. Maybe he sees it as an attacking weapon. He doesn't want to simplify it too quickly, but ultimately that does look like the best move. Hikaru, though, still thinking, what's he going to do? Is he able to maintain his extra pawn? Is he able to maintain his clock advantage? The next few moves are going to be so critical for the result.
Hikaru getting locked in the position. He knows this should be close to a winning advantage, but it still needs finishing touches. And this is when it starts getting incredibly tricky for the players, as he also falls below the 4-minute mark now. And as long as that queen remains centralized, anything can happen. Alexey Sarana looking for those big tricks.
Alexey Sarana, he has, at least with his last move, played maybe the first active jump of the game. That white queen is the MVP. Hikaru plays the move we predicted. Knights are about to leave the board. White can give a check first with the queen, but you have to mind the white king, checkmating ideas in the air. So the knights will be eliminated. It's just going to be queens, bishops. If the queens come off, black should win. How can Hikaru try and make that happen?
Well, if he wants to force an Armageddon, right now is how you do it. You give checks and go back and forth with your queen, but I don't think Hikaru wants that. He's up a pawn. He's navigated those checks that white was threatening, and look at that. He wants his bishop on the longest diagonal. The knights are off the board. The second piece assists the queen for an attack.
Great move, Hikaru Nakamura, multi-purpose, not only planting his bishop on the longest diagonal, a fantastic square to be on, but also long-term. The white pawn on the b5 square is a fix now on a light square. It's a target for the black bishop, and that's just great strategy. If the queens, again, come off, Black's pawn's on better squares, white's pawn a target. Question mark given to the last move, but looks very natural. I don't think it's a real mistake, Tanya.
I'm thinking about Sarana's defensive resources here, and my question that comes to mind is that, you put your bishop next to the king. You defend your kingside pawns. If you're Alexey Sarana playing with the white pieces, I think he's trying to achieve something similar. And then you say, I'm keeping the queens on the board. How are you making progress in this position?
That's the question. Hikaru has to answer. He goes back, he repeats the position. Alexey could just retreat the white king. That's the second time we'll have seen that position. But Hikaru will not repeat a third time. He will not take the draw. He's just trying to buy time, trying to force his opponent to think. And Sarana does need to speed up, offering the bishop trade now. Slightly surprising, but queen endgames also do have a bit of a drawish tendency if white can start delivering some checks.
Very creative, the way Sarana marched up with his king, and then to make sure that the pawns remain intact, actually goes on further with his king to recapture, centralizes the queen. It's not possible for Hikaru to trade them off just yet. The B pawn will be incredibly strong for Alexey. Instead, some checks coming in, and Alexey Sarana has decided to play the game with his king in the center.
King of the hill, we sometimes call it. The white king, not quite checkmated. The black pawn on the f7 square is pinned, cannot move. And the black queen, therefore, steps back, giving a check. White's king retreats. This is still very possible, flagging territory for both players.
I just want to point out, Sarana's queen is a beautiful, beautiful piece at the center of the board. It just defends every single pawn, creates possibility of going on a counterattack with a check on the home rank, picking up some of the black pawns as well. And as long as that queen stays there, it's not going to be easy for Hikaru to make progress. It's 3 versus 2 on the right. You start pushing those pawns, you're exposing your king if you're Hikaru.
Exactly. A good tip for everyone at home. Queen's in the center of the board. The last move given a question mark for Hikaru Nakamura. Maybe more difficult to coordinate the advance of the black pawns now. And how do you bypass that beautiful warrior queen in the center? Here we see Hikaru trying to move his king as far up the board as possible. Still a long, long way ahead. It feels like this queen endgame could go on another 100 moves easily.
It's so much easier to be Hikaru Nakamura right now. And look at that. He does put his king on a square and starts pushing those pawns. And for Alexey, he needs to find those checks, those inroads towards the black king. But for now, Hikaru's king looking incredibly safe.
And incredibly strong. It's feeling adventurous. It wants to continue its journey. The black king is coming. It's going to ride forward. And as long as it can evade checks from behind, it should be able to march into the white position. White's 2 pawns, slightly vulnerable, slightly lonely, and queen exchange offered. Okay, Hikaru there, trying to get the king of pawn endgame. Alexey Sarana says no, that would have been disastrous. Black would have simply been a pawn up, about to make a second queen. But it does feel like he's getting ready now, Hikaru, to make his winning attempts, his final moves.
You can absolutely never trade off queens in this position unless you're able to create a passer of your own if you're Alexey Sarana. And Hikaru, of course, his king marches towards the pawns on the right side. You look at Hikaru, it almost feels like he's calculated his way to checkmate.
It does feel that way. Evaluation bar says still drawing chances for white, but in practical terms, this is endless suffering. Sarana is now down to 1 minute. He has to find all the most accurate checks for at least the next 50 moves. If he makes it that far, it's going to be difficult. Look at the black king, sliding across, going to try and combine with the black queen for those queen trades. It's looking so difficult to navigate now for Sarana, who grabs a pawn, and it might be a fatal pawn to grab.
Oh, he's about to lose a pawn of his own right now with this check. But Hikaru's king in the center, it does give Sarana some hope in the position. It's not going to be easy to hide from all the checks that are about to start.
Yeah, where to hide? Which way do you go? You kind of want to go towards the black queen to use the black queen as a shield, but that would drop some pawns potentially.
I'm also going to point out, you put your queen to the center of the board. You can also pick up the pawn on the left side, but there are some diagonal checks, and Hikaru isn't happy with his decision to trade those 2 pawns right now. I think Sarana might just be back in this one, David.
The time advantage has really disappeared as well. The white king stepping forward. The black queen gives a check. The black pawn is the one that needs to start moving, motoring forward at some point. But he's trying to deliver checks to centralize his queen. Something we talked about earlier, Hikaru Nakamura. There we go. The black queen now beautifully centralized. Will be easier to use that piece as a blockade, as a bodyguard for the black king as he starts advancing his pass pawn.
And it's so hard to be Alexey Sarana because he needs to find the precise checks in the position. The path to holding this is incredibly narrow for white.
Already only move territory. He needs to give a check. There's only 1 good check to give to the queen. No time for Sarana, though. He needs to speed up.
25 seconds on the clock. No increment, no bonus time, and that's how mistakes happen. He finds, but it's the wrong square. He gives a check, the Black King completely safe, and now it's all about that one lone pass on the left side. Watch it go forward.
Oh, what a beautiful hiding spot Hikaru's found for the Black King. The Black King is hiding behind enemy lines, using the enemy pawns as shields, and here we go, the pawns are disappearing. Hikaru with so much time, no queen trade allowed, 2-pawn advantage. Black is so close to victory, no more checks, and the pawn pushes.
And it's under 10 seconds for Alexey Sarana. 2 pawns down. This, you do not survive. And just like that, he did set up a little trick at the end, but Hikaru just too quick and just too fast and just too strong for that. It is Hikaru Nakamura. It is Team Falcons who takes the win.
Beautiful from both players there. Trick from Sarana, but no stalemate. Hikaru saying, no, no, no. I shut the door on that one. Hikaru too strong, too classy in the endgame. Handshake between the players.